Welcome to the Frequently Asked Questions podcast, Fuzzy and Quincy. Today we have a future mayor of Atlanta.
Speak that into existence.
A rapper, a philanthropist,
A producer.
an entrepreneur. You got some more?
A black man.
An activist, a husband, a father.
Gets giddy on his Instagram with other breezes.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. He can't put him in a box.
No. I don't know how he got that pass.
Yeah.
He's married. I'm like, whoa, I need to talk to him about that.
Talk show host.
Talk show host.
You got Fuzz.
Netflix.
Nah, Fuzz. But the new talk show, he doing the Ed Bradley 60 Minutes. The camera comes down like this. Hello, I'm Michael Render. Today we have.
He got the government.
Yeah, that's what he does.
He's giving government.
We got nothing but love and respect for Killer Mike. Thank you for coming to the FAQ podcast.
Thank y'all, man.
Thank you, brother. Doing, this is an honor, man.
Listen,
it's an honor to be here.
When we came to Atlanta, like we have a list of Atlanta staples.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're high up on that list of make sure we speak to Killer Mike.
It was like you,
we had
Gladys Knight, you know, Martin Luther King the Ninth. You know, you were in that crust, the upper crust.
I appreciate it, man. As a little boy, that's really all I wanted.
Yeah.
It was to be respected in my city. Like, no cap. I just wanted to be like my grandparents. Like, my grandmother's funeral was packed like a star had died. You know,
really?
She was just a little old lady that was a nurse to help the community. You know, she wasn't never no sucker. She wasn't frail or weak, but I was like, I would like to be respected like my grandparents.
So you looked up to your grandparents for sure.
Absolutely.
Were you raised by them?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think we all were. Like,
yeah.
I know I was. My grandma was very instrumental in my life.
Yeah, I ain't even, you know, my grandmother, well, they kept it. They were born, I think she was 44 when I was born. I think my grandmother was 44, my grandfather was 54, so they just didn't have time for bullshitting, me and my sister. So it was
by the time you came around, it was
I tell you, it was like, look, this is the way the world works. I don't know why it works, but this is the way it works. And our job is to make sure you three little human beings are independent and interdependent on one another. And it worked out pretty well.
Wow.
Very well.
Yeah.
Stand-up gentleman.
Last 20 years has been a hell of a run.
Yeah, so I've been trying to. Even when we say 20 years, like when I got my record deal, I remember, you know, telling my grandfather, he was just in love with my daughter, Naya, who just turned 24. Wow. And I remember telling him, it's like, you know, I got a record deal, like I'm quitting, you know, a job. You know, I had a job, but still, it was like, I had to connect on some pounds of weed too, if you want to, you know. But they were like, "Hey, man, you quit your job?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yo, they gave me a check. So I was $100,000." My grandma said, "Let me see it." So I had to drive the check.
Yeah, she want to see it.
Just to see her. And then when I let her see, I said, "See, Mom," I said, "I'm cool." She said, "Let me put it in my account."
Nice.
I was like, well, "This old lady's crazy."
Yeah.
But once they saw that, you know, my grandfather passed. Like right when the year my record dropped, he died in a boating accident, unfortunately. And my grandmother passed like 9 years ago, right after a conversation that we had where she and I were discussing my youngest daughter, who's 14, just made the basketball team at Riverwood. Shouts out to Mikey. She was just talking to me because me and Mikey's mother weren't together, but she was talking to me about like who was going to raise my daughter since me and the mom weren't together and stuff like that. I'm like, I am. And she was like, you don't want to let her husband adopt. I'm like, nah, I don't want to let no husband adopt. You know what I'm saying? We could co-father, but ain't nobody adopting my child. Like, I ain't no bum. And she just looked at him. She said, I hurt your feelings. I was like, yeah, that question very much hurt my feelings. She's like, I'm sorry. And then she was
trying to have a real conversation.
Yeah, well, we had one. And that was our last conversation because she died in my arms walking up a hill like 15 minutes later.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Was she sick? Did she know?
Nah, my grandmother was, you know, I mean, she was 79 years old at the time. I'm sure she had some pre-existing stuff. That she talked to one of my sisters about her health because I was like her baby boy. I think she knew that I just didn't want to accept that she was getting older. But she looked at me, and this is why I tell people, like, I never believed in the afterlife until that moment. Like, I looked at her. She looked at me. She looked past me. She saw something.
Wow.
I seen her eyes, and she looked at me and smiled. She put her arms around me, and it was over. She was gone.
We have a similar story. My grandmother, when she passed, you know, I remember going to the house on a Friday. I drove all the way from the Valley Q to Compton, and my grandma had a congestive heart failure, but I knew she was, you know, it was declining. So someone said, hey, just go see your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out there on a Friday, and, you know, she wasn't speaking, but, you know, I hold her hand, and, you know, I'm speaking to her, but she's not speaking back. So I said, hey, Grandma, I'm about to leave. So she grabs my hand, Q, and grabbed it real tight. And I'm like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not usually like how we leave. But she grabbed it, looked at me, and then let go.
Wow.
that Sunday she passed.
Damn.
But it was a different kind of embrace. I'm like, oh, she must have knew something.
Yeah.
And she passed away on my first Father's Day. So every time Father's Day come around, I'm like,
They get you
Yeah.
to the point though.
Yeah.
Like the conversation I had with my grandmother was about being a father.
Yeah.
I have 3 other children, but I had been in the rat race trying to get on. And with the youngest one, she was just like, I could tell, like no matter what happened in like the, say, 4 years leading up to her death, I just couldn't get it going. You know, I'd come out with a mixtape, it'd be heralded, but it wouldn't sell the war. I wouldn't.
Right.
And after my grandmother died, I literally have not stopped going. Like she left 9 years
Inspiration.
ago. Yeah, Run the Jewels been on the road 8 straight years. It's just that my life just went into overdrive.
That's your angel.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
I
you-
definitely got ancestors working.
Did you like see those signs, you know, after she passed?
Yeah, like she came to me. You know,
Really?
we're like my grandmother's family, very Christian. They don't. My wife and I, we don't practice Abrahamic religions, but we definitely practice. You know, when I try to explain to my white friends, they'll say, "Well, what are you?" I say, "I'm exactly what black people were the day before Christians set foot in Africa." So that's it. But I remember telling her sister, who's 2 years younger, I said, my grandmother came to me last night. And you know, when old people say, you know, they come to you in a dream, essentially. And she said, yeah, they do that. She said, they only do that, though, when it's trouble or times of duress. And I was like, hold on. I was like, my whole life now, y'all been telling me about this white Jesus. And now you going to choose to tell me my ancestors is women. She's like, yeah, they come to you, but only in times of, you know, she said, they're always with you, but they'll show themselves.
Wow.
So, yeah, she shows up sometimes when stuff get hard.
Man, Killer Mike, you a really
you deep dude.
Yeah, deep dude. Like me and Quincy was like, this is going to be an interesting interview. And we were saying that as in respect, like, you have a lot to talk about. Like, you're just not an artist. You're just not, like, you have so many layers, especially your community activism. Like,
Yeah.
But I mean, you think about it, like in the past, you've seen somebody like if they're a community activist, they don't like strippers, they don't like certain things, right? Or if you are strippers, you don't know anything, you can't conjugate a verb, right?
Those are that's not true though. Like some of the most community-minded spiritual people I've met have been dancers. Like, yeah, a lot of times what we do is we try to fit ourselves in the European categories of what's wrong and what's right.
Yeah.
But luckily, like I grew up in a neighborhood called the Collier Heights. It's Collier Heights, Adamsville community.
Right.
The Collier Heights section in particular, 1946 was started by black people for black people. So everybody lived in this neighborhood, from the numbers man to the man who sold whiskey and moonshine, to the reefer salesman, to Ralph David Abernathy, Dr. King's parents, Herman Russell. So it was all black people all up and down the economic chain together.
Yeah.
So with me, I don't make judgments. Like when people hear me say I go to the Blue Flame, it's not in contrast to the other clubs, but literally the Blue Flame is on the back of my neighborhood. It's on the same street as the Catholic school that all the pretty girls and that were Catholic went to. I went to the elementary school where all the girls that were Protestant went to. Collier Heights, where the pretty Protestant girls went to my school, and the pretty Catholic girls, you know, went to the Catholic school. But the Blue Flame's right there. So, you know, I just stay true to my community, my neighborhood. Yesterday, I was with the head of the Neighborhood Community Association with Collier Heights yesterday, like, yo, I really want to buy a house back in my neighborhood. My sisters never sold my grandparents' houses they live in there.
It's still
Smart.
But I'm like, I want one of the big houses. I want to, you know, I want to be back in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I was telling, we were talking about Herman Russell before I read this book.
That's my man.
Man, Fuzz, please read this book.
Okay.
I think it's called Building Atlanta.
Yeah, and even if you don't read the book first, just check out the documentary. You can go to Netflix, check out his documentary, and you can see it as you're on a Delta flight. I encourage people to watch the King in the Wilderness documentary, to watch the Maynard Jackson documentary, and watch the Herman Russell documentary. Yeah. And you'll start to understand the real Atlanta mindset, or a mindset like mine. Like, I didn't realize until I got out and started doing interviews and things that I grew up radically different from other people. So, yeah, I don't separate, you know, the preacher from the sinner. I don't, because we all black. I don't separate the gay from the straight. I don't separate the stripper from the secretary, because we all black. We all going to freedom if we travel in different paths, because I saw all manners of black people about me and around me. I tell people all my heroes and villains look like me growing up. I wasn't intimidated by white folks because I didn't see white folks. I saw white folks on TV, like Fred Rogers and Bob Ross and, you know, whoever was on Sesame Street. But I didn't see white people on a day-to-day basis at all. I didn't have 3 white teachers my whole life. Wow. You know, so I grew up, I went to Frederick Douglass High School, went to Morehouse College. I lived in the Collier Heights, so my entire existence was black.
So you never dated outside your race?
No.
Me neither.
I fucked outside of my race. I haven't dated outside of my race.
Wait.
So he's had intercourse, Fuzz.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah,
I kissed a white girl in 9th grade.
I kissed a Muslim in 9th grade. Her father showed up to the school.
Oh, wow.
Like, you got to marry my daughter. That
He was serious.
Yeah, hell yeah. He was like, you defiled my daughter. I was in summer school at at Grady. I kissed a Muslim girl. She was beautiful. Her father showed up like, "Hey, brother,
We serious? You in the family?
Yeah, I was like, "Whoa!" You know what I mean?
You like I kissed her and stick it in.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I wasn't gonna do that. I ain't want to be felt so well. But that's what I found out. Don't just go around blindly kissing Muslim girls.
Oh yeah, no, I have like Orthodox Muslim like family, like they all like. Never mind, but they
They
like,
good people though. But I wasn't.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah. It's real. It's real.
Wow.
Oh man, I mean, it's so many things, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about the new TV show.
Yeah, Love and Respect.
Yeah.
I had 2 new TV. I got Love and Respect, which what I'm very proud of. I put together with my man Neil, formerly of Tavis Smiley's show, who's an amazing guy. My man Scott, who helped Bill Maher start Real Time and Politically Incorrect.
Wow.
And Love and Respect is a conversational style show, much like Tavis's show was, much like Charlie Rose's show was. And it's just at a time where people seem to just get together to argue, polarize points. I wanted to bring back the nuance of what I saw like on 80s television of people who may agree or disagree, but just having conversation.
Right.
So it's allowed me so far to talk to Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Saw that.
And I knew it was a good interview when I got a call from people to say, yo, I never thought I liked the mayor. But it was because I never saw her as a human being. I saw her as somebody who had privilege, who was a lawyer, who was outside of me. And they were like, no, she grew up just like me. I really saw her as a human being.
Relate to her.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it was so much information you gave about like her father and
Yeah.
the mother and like her mom being a hairstylist.
Yeah.
You humanized her in a way that you don't see that
Yeah.
on television shows.
Yeah, we don't see that much. People are basically arguing with caricatures of each other, what they think people are. So we've seemed to have brought back the conversational style show. I'm really looking forward to it. I've interviewed Big Boy. I've interviewed Tyler Perry. Dr. Kimberly Manning from Emory. So I just wanted people to see that. In my other show, I have a lot of fun just driving fast cars and talking to people who go to strip clubs.
Now you on my
Rolling with Killer Mike.
Oh, we saw that.
That's my level right there.
What was that? The Magnum PI?
Yeah, that Ferrari 308. My man Rory. Rory, we Cuz Lightyear shot a video a few years ago, and we used Rory's 65 Impala.
Yeah.
And then and Rory he's like, man, if Killer Mike can rent my car, I could probably do more of this. And Rory started buying more cars and renting them out and started his own business around it. And now he rents to the major theaters around, the major studios around here. And he rents to, punk-ass rappers like me shooting videos.
Yeah.
I didn't know you was into cars like that. I'm a car buff. I'm a car buff.
Yeah, I love car. I think currently I got 11, keeping it modest, but I got the 74 Caprice that's featured on Jagged Edge's hardcover.
Yep.
I got that one from Wingo. I got a 68 and 69 Firebird. I got a Hellcat as my daily driver. I got a 61 Impala 4-door being built. That's a flat top. That's a beautiful one.
Right.
What else I got? I got an 87 Grand National. We're about to put a Hellcat engine in, I think.
Carlos Miller got a couple of Grand Nationals.
Yeah,
he got quite a few.
I'm about to ask too. I'm going to do an all-wheel drive Grand National with a Hellcat engine.
All-wheel drive?
Yeah, all-wheel drive.
I got Slick Stitch. Stitch.
Yeah, of course. I'm sending one of my cars up to him.
He's doing my Cadillac right now.
Man, he's amazing.
Who stitched?
He's an interior
does
guru.
interior and builds cars. Yeah,
Okay, so
up in the Carolinas.
my 70 Cadillac, I got a ragtop 70, and he's doing it right now.
Yeah, that brother does amazing work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of us in the car world, but when you look at television and oftentimes YouTube, you don't see us. So I'm trying to make sure we're in that space too, because we are in that space. Like Sean from Autotopia is a friend of mine. Mike Musto is a friend of mine. Shouts out to my man Ron Ball, whose grandfather, he's also from Nacalia Heights. He worked formerly at Forgiato and Hoonigans and is now over at American Racing. So it's a lot of us in the car world. Every time you go to Summit, you see a lot of us, but I wanted to make sure we're in front of the camera too. So
no, we saw the episode. Your conversation, you broke that Ferrari. I'm like, damn, this is Magnum PI car.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, as kids, like that's what we looked at. I'm like, oh, because I played with
Michael Allen and Bear came up with the concept.
Nice.
And we got it out. Shouts out to my man Isaac and Will from Active. They helped get it together because we had shot in L.A. and we had shot in Houston. And we shot famous folks, and we're gonna go to Rican shoot. So we shot Wiz, we shot Slim Thug, we shot Lil Flip, but our audio didn't come back good. So we still got the visuals. We're gonna use them in the teasers, but I got to go back and we got to reshoot. I'm really looking forward to going to New Orleans and shoot with my man Spitter. But
Currency.
Still adult. Like
I was in a club with him the other night out here in Atlanta. We were talking about cars. Like even Currency got a Hot Wheel. Track.
You got a hobby shop, yeah.
Yeah, so he has an Instagram page just dedicated to just racing Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very entertaining.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, where else you have so much, so many layers I know last year you were talking about you guys were coming out with a bank, right? Was
Yeah,
it an online
yeah.
bank?
Greenwood.
Greenwood. Talk to us about that.
So, fintech is a thing, and everything eventually is going to go, to your phone. And right now, 65% of banking is done on the phone. So as banks are pulling out of communities that are working class and communities of colors, there's a huge gap left. And since we spend more time on our phones than other groups.
100%.
Andrew Young, former mayor and U.S. ambassador, his son Bo Young, Paul Judge, who's big in the tech world, and Ryan Glover, who started and sold Bounce TV, decided that we should be in this space, and we should be in this space not only providing opportunity for people to be banking, but to become financially literate. And so Greenwood is something that starts as simply a bank like everything else. It partners with the bigger bank. It allows black people to put money with banks that are going to recycle the money in our own community. So when you're looking for capital investment and stuff, Greenwood is looking to grow into that space to be investing in companies that people might not be looking for. In the immediate, if you're a working class person and you get paid on Friday, but your rent is due on Wednesday, you have an opportunity to have a Greenwood account and get that money forwarded to you on a Wednesday, so you don't have to wait to keep your credit good, so you can be on your pathway to home ownership, which is like the biggest acquisition of wealth most of us get to have, and the cornerstone of wealth for a lot of society. For a lot of society in terms of family. So I'm very proud to be a part of Greenwood. We were in 4 months where they expected us to be in 2 years. We have a great evaluation going. And I just left the Money Fest or whatever they call it, where all the bankers get together in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Talk business during the day, and at night, who knows what the hell they're doing. And I went down there and just told a room full of bankers that don't look like me, hey, you should be making sure that you're in the space of black and brown people, because in this country, when our economy is better, the overall economy is better. So if you look at a company like Cadillac, I would say, had their ass out to dry twice. In my grandparents' lifetime, if you saw Cadillac records, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
Back then, you couldn't buy, as a black person, you couldn't just walk in a Cadillac dealership and buy Cadillacs. So oftentimes, you see the record company was gifting Cadillacs to their artists.
Yep.
At that time, a black person would damn near have to hire an agent to go buy that Cadillac. They hired a European to come over and came over, and he was just like, what? Why aren't we selling to these people who want to be buying our car? Because Lincoln and Chrysler were kicking Cadillac's ass at that time. So at one time, it was all about the big, luxurious car. Lincoln and Chrysler, between the Chrysler 300 and Lincoln, the Lincoln cars, Ford had Lincoln, they were kicking Cadillacs. But this guy was like, nah, we're going to sell. And he wiped away with that. Dealerships then started allowing blacks to come in and buy. And Cadillacs became the premier car of the black working class man. You know what I mean? So that saved the company once. And I would argue Cadillac early 2000s was just not looked at as a brand in the same way. If you were from New York, people rapping about MPVs and Jeeps, and out west, people rapping about Benzes. You know what I mean? Like Ice-T, Ice Cube would drive AMGs. Yeah. But this Cadillac truck came along.
Escalade, saved their ass.
Saved their ass again. So, I think that and I use that as an example. So when our economy is booming, the bigger economy booms. And the lady said, I hadn't had so many hand claps during a talk. She said it was so many hand claps, I kept thinking it was over. that had ended. So I'm glad that I was able to help a room full of people who didn't look like me, rather, understand that if our dollar is circling, it's going to help the greater community, because black people buy a lot of shit.
Hell yeah.
So
who's telling you about these things? Like you said, you went to a banker fest, in Vegas.
They invited me out because I'm a part of Greenwood. So, but in terms of putting stuff together, it's just a matter of listening and observation and reading and, curiosity. Then you start to say, oh, okay, so this is how this works. So I'm just always looking to learn. I walk in every room, trying to be a student, trying to walk away with something new.
Always learning something new.
Yeah, because there's new stuff to learn,
Yeah. When are you going to run for mayor?
Like, man, I was on we had the Atlanta panel with me, 2 Chainz and Offset yesterday, and Tit said something. People was laughing because he's a friend. Like, our wives are friends, we're friends, and I laughed because people be talking this bullshit. He was dead for real. He was like, I feel like if the position paid a little bit more, he would have already ran. So
that salary.
Yeah, and for me, I know one day I'm gonna stop singing and dancing to the degree I do now, and if called to public office, I will. But right now, what I would like to see is people get behind candidates that honestly, I want candidates that are from Atlanta, that Atlanta produces, because there's an Atlanta way.
Homegrown.
Yeah, I think we've produced a lot of greatness here. So for me, you know, I'm happy to help make kings right now. I'd rather be a kingmaker than a king myself.
I get it.
Wow.
You guys have an election. We don't know when this is playing, but you guys have an election.
Yeah, about 3 weekends. Yeah, we couple weeks away.
What are your thoughts about this election?
I just gave you my thoughts.
Okay, so who? I'm not asking
It's
for
not my job to tell you who. It's your job to listen to the clues.
Got it.
Got it.
I would look for who's homegrown.
Got it. Okay.
There it is. There. Yeah. Not imported.
Yeah. I understand.
We'll for you. If they don't know how to go to the Blue Flame by not using their navigation, they don't need to be in that office. Yeah, man. I respect.
I would say though that whoever is running for mayor of Atlanta, if you don't understand the correlation between, say, the Blue Flame and black brilliance and excellence and freedom, you probably don't need to be mayor. You know, if the man who owns the Blue Flame, his father was someone who was accused of being a high figure in the underworld, but that man also put envelopes in Dr. King's parents' hand to make sure marches happened. Wow. Because that neighborhood was one big neighborhood. They lived streets from each other. And no matter what kind of black you were, you wanted to see us free. You know, I would say that someone who has went to a club is not the same person who understands the importance of black club ownership. You know, I would say someone who is, spent years in office here, but still doesn't get the delicate balance of, Atlanta's secular society. Because when we talk about, say, clubs or business owners in Atlanta, what you're really talking about is jobs. You know, when the jobs at, say, the Cheetah and the Pink Pony don't affect Atlanta in the same way that the jobs at Peaches and Magic City and the Blue Flame do.
Never heard.
Because Peaches is the old Montrose. It's in the West End, right under the tracks, right behind the Wells Fargo.
Cracking still to this day?
It's cracking still to this day. Owned by a black guy. If you look at the office that formerly was Foxy Ladies open, bought by a couple of black guys who had also owned a restaurant. Those things are important because if you go to California saying you're looking for a black dispensary, it's very difficult to find black dispensaries, but it's very easy to find MedMen.
All over the place.
And that's not a slight against MedMen. That just says, I don't know who the fuck owns MedMen. The dispensary I first started going to, I knew that nigga and his mama. Right. And I like that when you say keep it local, things like that. In my case, that means keep it local and keep it looking like me. So I would say if you have a mayoral candidate that does not understand the importance of hip hop music to Atlanta, if you look at hip hop music, if a candidate wants to close we're currently in the studio district. It is 6:36. We have one candidate that would like to close this district at 9:00, and it would be therefore illegal for us to be doing this. The other candidate understands the importance of us being able to stay open just like a movie studio or anything else. So I would just say investigate the candidates. Which candidates went to schools named for black people? I went to Frederick Douglass High School. Our rival was Benjamin E. Mays High School. One of the candidates went to my rival high school. But it's a difference when you go to a school named for the president of Morehouse and your rival is named for the greatest abolitionist ever. Wow. Because there's a certain confidence that comes with that. Mm-hmm. Look at who's next to your candidate in the pictures. If it's a bunch of white boys, you got to start saying to yourself, well, not that I can't trust them, but who are these white folk? He's like, who this is, boss? You know what I mean?
Right.
Versus you look at another candidate who has a tapestry of black people, from restaurant owners to artists to club owners, you start to say, well, why is this tapestry of people that I know from the community around this candidate? So for me, again, I like homegrown. I like people that understand the Atlanta way. And I would start to do my own investigation. I would say, well, who's going to be truer to the community I'm in? Who is North Fulton voting for versus who is South Fulton voting for? Because I'm tending to going to go with the South Fulton candidate because they understand that they're doing it from the whole. And I also need to be advised by people. I trust a lot of times the advisors of people. Who's being advised by Andy? Who's being advised by Shirley Franklin? Who's being advised by former mayors that have done a great job? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to trust that. And neither of the candidates who I originally supported, but I would just implore people to support the candidates who
do their own homework.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like, since we're talking about politics in Atlanta, do you feel like you get the phone calls because they know Killer Mike got the streets on lock in the younger community? Do you feel like you get those phone calls? Hey, let's talk, Mike.
I got 2 phone calls this week. One from each candidate. Well, one candidate called me. One representative of a candidate texted me. I'll say like Andre Dickens called me himself, and Khalid from City of South Fulton called me themselves, and I was very impressed by that. They don't run.
And Dixon just did something at gathering spot, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he did. He did. That was the picture I was alluding toward. The plethora of people he put together, I couldn't believe. I was like, damn, some of them niggas don't even like each other. But they, but they were there for
so
him.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
When did that happen? When did you see the turn of, political figures starting to give you a call? Was there one specific thing that happened, or were there like a group of things that happened?
Oh, well, you know how black folk do once they see them white folk folks.
Okay.
Yeah, once I got down with Bernie, but I will say though, I'm teasing. Kasim Reed called us. I think his second run, he won by like 700 some votes. He had hit Bear, and we did an interview, much like the interview I do on Love and Respect.
Okay.
And we went around hammering out votes for him, from barbershops and beauty shops. At that time, I was like, yo, the working class don't know this is going on. So, and I even went to the Blue Flame, like, hey, y'all got to take y'all ass out and vote. Mm-hmm. So, Kasim was the first candidate to ever call me, which is a big reason why even this time around I supported him, because he called me when Killer Mike had not, pushed for Bernie Sanders because Bernie hadn't run yet. He literally recognized at that time that this kid really cares about politics. He really gets it. He understands. And I had seen him do just things in the music community. I'd seen him be a fierce lawyer and advocate for people like Goody Mob. And I'm like, man, shit, this nigga been fighting this hard for us in music. Shit, I know he gonna fight hard for us under the Gold Dome, which he did as a senator, and then as mayor of the city. He worked with Nathan Deal, who's Republican governor. But with that, our city became a city. We're the third most Fortune 500 companies. And then he's brought 9 new companies, 9,000 new jobs. People say what they wanted to about the Braves movement, but to be very honest with you, East Cobb County is the capital of baseball. So us losing the Braves, we still ain't really lost it because we was shopping at Cumberland anyway, but it allowed Georgia State to expand and literally become one of the biggest universities. I went from seeing Georgia State become somebody's 5th and 6th look in terms of college to, I would guarantee you within 8 to 10 years, Georgia State is going to be looked at much like a Georgia or Alabama.
Wow.
In terms of the premier and the prominence of going there. So, a lot of times a mayor will make a decision that won't seem right in the moment, but you look 10, 15 years down the line, like, oh, I get it. William Hartsfield, who was a white mayor, made a deal with Delta for, I think, a $1 mortgage for, 20, 50 years, some crazy shit. They ran him out of town, but you look at Delta now, you land, you got a black pilot, black flight crew, you get off, the whole crew is
a hub.
Black unload. It's a hub, and it's one of the biggest in the South, and it's brought over 10,000 jobs, in terms of proximity. So we have to start to say to ourselves, like, wisdom a lot of times takes longer to see, So I've liked him for that reason, and the fact that he pointed out early that this guy should be in politics.
We talk about politics.
Yeah.
Let me put you in a place that didn't happen, but just in case you were in the room, if you was in the room when the blacks went and saw Trump, if you was invited to that room, do you think, what would you say? Like, how would you have shifted the energy in there?
What you got for me?
That's the question you asked?
Yeah. What you got for me? Yeah, absolutely.
And see what Trump's reaction would have been, or who?
No, I fuck your reaction. Tell me what you got for me. Yeah, I don't give a fuck how you react. What do you have for me?
Talk to me.
Yeah, what do you have for me? What do you have? Politics is, I don't care if I like you. I care that you can allot me the resources that I need to be an independent community within this republic to help make this, first of all, me and my community stronger, but then this republic stronger. What do you have for me?
He couldn't answer that probably.
Yes, he could have.
You think he could have?
He's a president.
Man. Yeah, he didn't ran a casino. Any nigga ran a casino understanding what you got for me question.
Yeah, I get you on that.
Black people need to understand that question. That there's a could be fact, could be myth, but based on his personality, it feels true to me. A guy named Hosea Williams, if you guys have watched Selma, Dr. King, it was Dr. King, Ralph David Abernathy, Hosea Williams, Andy Young, Reverend Orange, James Orange, who personally trained me to be an organizer. He was played by Omar Dorsey in the movie. Shouts out to Omar. But Hosea, they said, at some point in the 80s, man, the black Democrats kind of stepped back from Jimmy Carter and let Reagan have his day and win. When Reagan, pop up, because a lot of times ain't what you do is what you don't do. If you don't get up and say nothing, a lot of politicians they just, hey, thank you, I appreciate you, because if you would have said something, it went another way. And they say Reagan asked Mrs. King and the ensemble, like, what do you want? Saying, we want a national holiday for Dr. King. Now, Reagan raced his heart somewhere said, what the fuck this nigga? What? That's what his heart was saying. And he said something to the effect, I can't do it. He said, Hosea got up and walked out.
Damn.
They said, why you want to say, nigga, if you can't give me this, I don't need nothing else from you. Like, I came to collect on the debt that you owe. So for me, when I say, what do you have for me? what do you have directly for us that is going to help us better help ourselves? Because when we help ourselves, we're a stronger community. You know, that's it. And I think you should handle every politician that way. I don't care if y'all of the same party, the same race, ethnic group. You know, I don't care. I care that you got something for me. Because if you don't have anything for me, I don't need you.
And what the hell are we talking about?
That's it.
What would you give a grade for Biden right now? Do you think he's doing his job? Do you think
Horribly, in terms of speaking on behalf of my community?
Like a grade.
An F minus.
F plus?
F minus.
F minus? I don't know which word. F plus or F minus?
F minus.
F minus.
Yeah, that's a short bus class.
Yeah.
With the helmet on.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yep, you stay in the same class all day.
So if he's an F minus, and you know a lot of people look at you as, you know, they like, well,
let me ask you this: what is he giving you that directly
I don't
affects
see
black
anything.
people? So how could you give him anything but? You know, how could you give him anything but? How could you? What has he done in terms of? He could sign an executive order and decriminalize marijuana. He could give clemency to those that, you know, he's not doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not a gotcha moment guy. Like, I understand he's just an old, confused white guy. When he says the great Negro Satchel Paige, he was trying to say the great Negro League player. So I'm gonna give you that. They've been on his ass about that all week, right? He's just an old white man. He got his words mixed up. But I don't give a fuck if you call me a Negro. I give a fuck that you got something for Negroes. Yeah. Where's our bill? Mm-hmm. Where is our bill that is ours, that is specific to our community, that brings an influx of jobs to our community, that brings an influx to money and allocates it to our community? If you do not have that for me, or if you do not have policy that I can take advantage of on the behalf of my community, then there's no conversation to be had, because you ain't got shit for me.
Right. Do you think he feels that I gave you guys a black?
I don't give a fuck.
You already know where I was going with this.
I give a fuck about policy.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck how you feel. I don't give a fuck about how many niggas you got dancing next to you. I give a fuck about what you got. And again, I'm speaking as a person who was raised in a neighborhood that was started for blacks by blacks, and it didn't just have poor niggas. Herman Russell lived 3 streets from me.
Wealthy.
You understand what I'm saying? So you can't, you know, as a kid riding my bike, we grew up in a little 900 square foot A-frame house. So I didn't grow up rich. I grew up working class, understanding that if you live below your means, that's what makes you rich. If you know how to handle your own dollar. So all the who's standing next to you and do you got hot sauce in your bag and all that old country ass shit, I don't care. Where is the policy that brings money to my community that makes me comparable to other communities that have that? You know, if you look at the Asian hate crime, I don't hate on anybody that got a bill passed, but you have to ask yourself, how do the people who are the lowest outcome of voters get ahead of the line in front of you? Because they donate money. And because they don't, my lady who was seamstress, you walk in her little thing where she got a picture of her and Bill Clinton on one side, and she got a picture of her and George Bush the second on the side. And I said, she said, I give money to both. And I said, what? You know, I said, which one you like better? He better for my taxes. And she pointed at the Republican. So she don't give a shit who win. She gives a shit that her money
business-wise.
It's right. So black people, since we don't have the wherewithal, or we're not putting our money in the candidates, what do you have? You have political leverage in voting. And on a local level, you've shown in Georgia, being able to flip this state, how powerful your local vote is. Use your vote like you use a token. This token costs you something. And if you don't have anything for me, I don't have anything for you. And if you start to treat your vote like that, and voters are blocking that, I'm not a genius that came up with this. This is what I heard Stokely Carmichael say. Kwame Ture. So if you look at Stokely Carmichael organizing in rural counties in Alabama in the 60s, he was able to turn counties by simply saying, this county is 54% black, 46% white. You guys have the power to vote. So either the Democratic Party is going to run you as a candidate, or they're going to participate in your empowerment, or you're not going to help them win.
How long have you? Who taught you this stuff?
My grandma.
Like, because I'm like, bro, how, like, some of the stuff I just wasn't getting when, you know, growing up.
Yeah, I was raised.
I didn't have a grandma.
My grandma was born in 1932, Tuskegee, Alabama, Shorter County.
So can we talk about his grandmother? Like,
yeah,
she sounds like she was a staple in the neighborhood.
Yeah, she was Miss Betty, Betty Quincy, my grandfather, Willie Sherwood.
So when he said when the funeral happened, everybody was there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just about showing support for you. It was about who she was as an individual.
Yeah, and it was like a network of like ladies, like her homegirl was organizing, in Summer Hill and People's Town. We used to go over there. You know, my sisters and I, we'd have to go to old folks' home, Sadie Mae's, and help old people on Sundays. So she was connected to the community in a way. Some of my first memories are working Andy's campaign, I think in 80. You know, because even as a kid, you right there next to the skirt, you passing out stuff with it too. So my grandmother was a staunch Democrat. She was a civil rights believer. She was a member of NAACP, SCLC, things like that. My grandfather was probably a libertarian. He did not want government in his life. He resented having to get a fishing license. Because he said, God gave you an appetite and the ability to make a pole. Why should you have to ask a white man because you fish here? Like that was
So you got both of that in your DNA. You got the rebellion and the... Wow.
And I just kind of, you
that's
figure
the both
it out.
worlds.
Yeah. So in elementary, or in high school, I'm listening to, you know, conservative radio like Neil Bortz, and I'm also listening to WAOK, Alley Pat, you know, with my grandmother. And I'm listening to them all on the same day, and I'm just kind of understanding what I like from both sides and kind of taking what I like from both sides and you know, and doing the best I can.
So how do we get educated as blacks who didn't grow up, you know, with these illustrious, you know, forefathers like you did?
I think you get involved locally. There are people always about you. Like when you hear me say plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize.
Yeah, man.
When you plot something out, usually it's just you in your room, like thinking, this work. Then you start writing it down, much like Fuzz is doing now. You're writing something down, you're planning. But when you strategize, you have to get with other people.
And
so there are other people already doing what you want to do. I guarantee you there's somebody in the community, and you should be connecting with those people. And you should be learning, listening to, seeing. Come with the spirit of service. How can I help you? You know, advance your, and then you're going to learn, and then you organize. Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael said we should be in constant organization. You know, there is no I've organized, this thing is done, now it's done. There's constantly throughout the diaspora, whether we're in Africa, the Caribbean, the Americas, South America, we should be constantly organizing. And once organized, you should be mobilizing. So organization should never stop. It should never stop, you know, and the mobilization of organizations should be able to happen within the instant because you should be organizing. And that sounds a lot of times intimidating or hard to do, but it's as easy as picking the thing that you like doing or the thing that you're most compelled to do and doing that thing. I have some friends, their mission is working with homeless women and children. That's what they do. I have some friends, their mission is working with the mentally ill, the disabled veterans. That's what they do. There are times where bills come up that affect both of those groups, and those friends come together, you know, like Voltron, and they're down on that gold dome together marching. So what feels like me and my 100 people and me and my 100 people over there, me and my 100 people, if the leaders and if the organizers are working together, that 111 turns into 300 people showing up on the steps as legislators are walking in and out, and they got to think about that before they cast their vote because they asses want to get back in office again.
2026 or 2030?
What?
Come on, dog.
I'm smoking big kush.
Come on, man.
Big dope getting smoked. I'm going to be a marijuana dispensary or two. I'm going to be in on some of the biggest business deals ever, man. I'm going to be supporting candidates that should do it, man.
I said 2026 or 2030, his eyes lit up.
Then he goes, you smoking big dope.
Yeah, but he's going to, you got to run for mayor, bro. Man. Like, come on, dog.
I don't.
Weed's not legal in Atlanta, is it yet?
What? It feels like it.
Nah, yeah, it will be, though.
Yeah.
So you would definitely.
They just passed medical. So there are 5 licenses. There are like 5 and 6 licenses.
So you think in the next 4 years it'll probably?
Yeah, next 4 or 5. The white folk like making money now. Now those legislators ain't gonna watch Colorado. That's one thing about Southern Republicans. They like making money. They're not gonna watch Tennessee and Oklahoma make money and Florida make money, and they not. Georgia white folks like making a lot of money too. So.
What would you name your dispensary in Atlanta?
I was born on 420, so I might name it birthdays.
Wow.
Keep that. And see, that's a Pooh Baby saying.
Happy birthday.
Birthday.
Shouts out to Pooh Baby.
He gonna set up he gonna put in somebody
already
else's
got
name.
it priced.
Yeah, he gonna put somebody else's name. He gonna run. You got to run for mayor 2026 or 2030. If you were sitting here,
we're not saying that Killer Mike's not gonna run, but
Michael Render.
Michael Render
will run 2020. What would you think? Is it more realistic in 2026 or more realistic?
I'm just out here trying to support. I got a pretty wife and 4 children, so I got to.
Your wife is hella cool too, bro.
She cool, right?
She hella cool, man. I had the chance to hang out with him at No ID's birthday party, but she hella cool.
Shouts out to her and her homegirl Kelly Rowland. They be I like how you be thugging with Kelly, man. Kelly be thugging too.
Really? Yeah. She about that life.
Yeah, that's her homie, man.
How do you juggle all of this? You know, I know people are pulling you from entertainment, people are pulling you from the political, but you have a family.
You're a family man.
Yeah. I mean, that is to me that is the most important thing, and I've learned that. Like I chased career a long time because It took me 10 years to get on my path, right? So when it takes you 10 years to get on your path, your family loses a lot of you because my wife says I share you with the world, and I understand her and my children do. My 19-year-old son is on dialysis. We're waiting a kidney for him. But being on dialysis at the same time the pandemic is happening has allowed me to be home with him. You know, kidney disease. My mother had kidney disease, was on dialysis for 17, 18 years.
Wow.
So my family knows how to deal with dialysis, but I didn't have the time that I wanted to be home. You know, I was working at becoming, you know, who Killer Mike has become. So for me, man, being able to be home has shown me the importance. The real importance is the time. The real importance is health. The real importance is, you know, being able to accrue wealth and be around to enjoy it. So I love not only my family, but my extended family. Like when you see me with guys like Mike or Bear, you see me with guys like my man Gerard Sells Atlanta, you see me with DJ Swift, like these are like my brothers. So, you know, I enjoy being a dad. I enjoy being the leader of a tribe that is advancing more families than mine. And I feel blessed to be in that position. I remember my grandfather died, and my baby sister, LaShonda, who's she's the one my grandmother taught. She taught us all how to balance a checkbook, but LaShonda paid attention. LaShonda ended up being an accountant. Wow. She says, well, Michael, go ahead and cry today because tomorrow you're the leader of this family.
Wow. Straight up.
And that was it. Like, that was it. You know, we country folks, so I couldn't tell you wrong or why I got the, you know, I just stepped up. And again, my grandmother didn't leave until that last conversation when she knew that she had did a job well done and I raised a man. So, you know, I take that very seriously.
Wow. So what about your parents? Like you speak highly of.
I love my parents too. They're great people now.
They were teenagers when they had you, right?
Yeah, they were too young.
Yeah.
But
your father, if I'm not mistaken, your father's a.
My father was a former Atlanta police officer for a short time, and you know, in my life, you know, a few years. I have two fathers. I have a bio and a non-bio dad.
Got it.
And my bio and non-bio, I told my mom, I said, the best thing you ever did was find two great niggas to be my fathers. Like,
great examples,
yeah.
huh?
So, yeah, Michael and Anthony are my dads. And they, my mother's gone, but I still got two great dads, you know.
Okay.
My father my bio father ended up retiring he did fire department and then went on to work for Atlanta Gas and Light. And my non-bio father's driven trucks my whole life. And I just had a great balance of masculinity because my dad and mom are my bio dad are very fiery people. So by nature, I'm fiery.
Yeah.
But my non-bio dad, man, he got me into, like, I couldn't date no chick who tore up my model cars and scratched my records. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still call my dad sometimes. I know I just think, hey, man, I know I fucked up all your model cars, man. I appreciate you. Just thank you. We collect toys together now. Like, Hot Wheels just sent my dad a bunch of stuff. Like, so I love being, like, both those men's their son. You know what I mean? And I'm proud when they call me. Like, my bio dad called me on the way here. He was like, I just want to tell you, I watched last week's show, and this is what I've seen you doing. Like, I love this. This is how I view my son. Like, the rap stuff is cool. I remember when I told him I was leaving Morehouse, that was a hard decision. And it was a hard conversation to have with my grandmother and my father because black folks telling somebody your child go to Morehouse is like white folks telling somebody their child go to Harvard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like
so
that.
they was, and I was like, my uncle that went to Morehouse and my cousin Keith had both come out of Morehouse, and I'm like, I'm dropping out. I was just like,
How many years did you do?
I did my first year, and then I was just like, I read that Puff story about dropping out of Howard. I was like, man, fuck this, I'm out.
What year was that?
That was 94, and yeah, and right now I'm just like, why ain't Morehouse offering me a doctorate yet? I'd have done a lot of good on the side.
You know what? You just said it. They're gonna do it.
Yeah. I'm gonna claim that the manifestation. But my dad told me at the time, my bio dad, Big Mike said, you know, they call it starving artists for a reason, and I use that as fuel to say I'm gonna show my dad. And now my dad told me was just like, well, you know, you do what you want to do, but just make sure that's what you really want to do. Like they were always, him and my mom were encouraging of an artistic path where my bio dad was more traditional. His dad had died young, so he believed in a traditional way. But when he saw me rise to prominence as Michael Render in the social and political world, he called me one day after reading an article, and we had a real father-son moment. He was like, he said, I'm sorry for the way I said it when I said it, that they call it starving artists for a reason. He said, because it didn't mean I didn't believe in your talent or your skill. He says, but the man that they're describing in this article is a leader. Wow. That's what I've seen you as since you were in nursery. He said, you would leave a room, and when you come back, you'd be telling all the kids, well, this is what we're going to do. And he said, they be doing it. He said, so I've always seen you as a leader. So I mean, man, we cried like hell because I didn't understand it. I just thought, shit, Dad don't believe my shit. I'm gonna show my old man.
He didn't want you to struggle, though.
Yeah, he didn't. But I understood that I have a calling, along with God allowing me to do what I love doing. There's a calling in that bears a responsibility. So I take it seriously, and I was very proud that things like Love and Respect the Show make both my dads really proud.
I'm gonna tell you, Fuzz, like watching it, they do this 60 Minutes, and I was a little hating. Cause they come, I'm gonna try and paint the picture. So he's sitting at the table, right? And it's straight. You know the shop. It's 60 Minutes, and he's coming up, and he's like, today we're talking to Michael Render. Michael Render has done so many things. Right now on Love and Respect, and I've seen a couple episodes. I'm like, ooh, but it feels natural. It feels as natural as watching you with Keisha and Lance Bottoms, and then it was certain things I saw when I saw you with Big Boy that I never knew. And I'm like, damn. But even with Trigger Warning, everything you do seems very just comfortable and seems very you. And, it's just, tell us about, those two shows. I mean,
I've always wanted to be on TV. So Trigger Warning is all my weird ass thoughts.
Amazing.
Manifested. I remember when all the homies, like 87, when Crips and Gangsta Disciples kind of came to Atlanta, it was like all the homies that would move here from Chicago, LA, places like that. Like, I didn't understand. Like, in Atlanta, at that time, it wasn't called trapping, it was called rolling. Like, so I understood rolling. Like, okay, we going to go look out for the D-boys, or we going to try to become D-boys ourselves and get out here and roll some dope. We rolling. I understood getting money, but I didn't understand gang. I just didn't understand it. I was just like, okay. I was like, so y'all, how we gonna get some money? Like, and I was like, do y'all sell bandanas? Like, are we go? What's gonna happen? I'm for real question. So with the Cripple-Cola thing, I probably had that idea since I was 13 years old.
Brilliant.
So when you look at Cripple-Cola and Blood Pop, it's just I saw the Italian mafia. I saw the Yakuza. It's movies, you see them and then you put in your rappers, put them in raps. But I saw them become business people. The Italians didn't go just eat Italian food. They owned the restaurant. You know what I mean? So my question was, well, why can't we? Now, I knew we were younger. I knew gangbangers were younger and things of that nature. But what I knew was Atlanta was an environment where if you wasn't getting no money, it didn't make no sense. So the Cripple-Cola episode comes out of 13-year-old Michael's head saying, I need to be able to tell my homies that are involved in gangs, like, we should be getting some money. Yeah. And so Cripple-Cola and Blood Pop, to me, after you turn an organization 50 years old, there's it's no different. Like I call them street fraternities. Yeah. It is a street fraternity. And you can decide if there's no shame in belonging to a gang. Because if you look at the movie Gangs in New York, you're looking at political parties use gangs or tribes as rivals. You know what I mean? And if you look at organization in places like Jamaica, if you look at an organization even in streets, Reverend Orange had the ability to pull up on street dudes and say, hey, this is why you guys should be tradespeople. This is why you should belong to a union, and this is why your union should be voting this way. So I just think that there's no lost on us. I think that there's no lost people we can't save. I think that we can, if you're determined and hardworking enough, you can change your individual trajectory and the trajectory of your particular tribe or clique.
Are we going to get season 2?
Yeah, that's what I asked.
Well, it's just when white folks going to pay me for it. See, when white folks got to pay now. There's one thing. There's one thing about Atlanta folk. You can't just, I can't.
But I'm sure it did. I'm sure Trigger Warning did very well for Netflix.
Well, when it first came out, and Netflix, I got to say, man, I've really enjoyed working with them. They treated it like, okay, it's a cool little show. When y'all started burning shit down in the middle of the street, they bumped it up to the suggestions box. So, I was like, okay, more riots, we get higher places on the marquee. But
one of my favorite episodes, if I'm not mistaken, you was talking to the kids.
Yeah, that was the Fuck School episode.
And one kid was like, hey man, don't interrupt. Yeah. The way you checked him, he's looking like, oh, hey.
That was my little guy, man. People, I tripped out how white folks, like, some of them got fake, man. I was like, man, you're not fake, man. Because really all I'm saying is the same thing a teacher would say is don't interrupt while someone else is talking. Yeah, man. What I did to him was I said, don't interrupt. I say because this kid is black and that'll the exercise privilege. I just went the long way around.
He goes, he's an ally.
Yeah, exactly. Once the kid understood, that's an ally. Yeah. But I was saying the same thing in the kindergarten teacher would. Don't interrupt while people are talking.
Man, that was a great episode, man. And
I have more. I want to.
I'm sure you. Yeah.
I'm gonna see if polygamy can save the black community.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna challenge.
Do you believe in polygamy? Do you believe in polygamy?
I believe in black people. Yeah. I believe in everything we've done that's been good for us, and we I believe that if people, like I grew up with 2 gay uncles. I grew up, both the youngest brothers of my bio and non-bio fathers were both gay men.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncles were as normal as any other boys. My uncles joined the ROTC. My uncles could fight their ass off. My uncles taught me about arts and culture. So I never saw, my mother was an artist by nature in terms of being a florist and a designer. So I remember her gay friend Chuck with the gay man mustache from the 70s and 80s and shit. So I've never had the separation or feeling extremely different about gay people. So if I'm going to support my brothers and sisters that are gay and lesbian, I have a little sister, but my baby sister is Candace, she's gay. If I'm going to support that lifestyle, I'll be damned if I'm not going to be able to support women and men who say, well, I can enjoy multiple partners and this is what we want to have and we should be protected on the law. If that's what you like to do, absolutely, I support that. Now, as far as my wife, I don't know what she's going to,
Right.
But for our community, we have a community where 1 in 4 black women is married, right? And that's if everything is fair, but you have to account for that's 3 black women that will not be married. The children will not have a father or a male role model in their life potentially. But then you start saying, some brothers are gay and are not looking into women. Some brothers are in prison and are not coming home. That number starts to increase. So what are we going to do? I was looking at, Sherazada Ali was an interview from the 90s. And she was telling a young sister, I think at a small college, she was like, sister, man don't have to ask for more women. They've been practicing this forever. Say, we the ones sitting around acting like it's not happening. So it's not about what Michael believes in. It's about what you and your partner can agree to. And if you and your partner agree to it, I wholeheartedly accept it, and not only accept it, encourage it. And one of the greatest examples I give my wife, when we have this philosophical debate, just talking shit, our husband and wife talk shit to each other. I say, you ever notice all our friends that are monogamous and heterosexually married, they have to pay for their kids to go to college? But our Muslim friends who we know who are polyamorous and have multiple wives and children, all their children scholarship into college.
Why is that?
I would argue a stronger support system. I would argue more discipline in the household.
More support.
I kissed that Muslim girl. Her dad showed up the next day. You know how many Protestant girls I kissed? Their daddy never showed their daddy one day.
I'm gonna have Mike call my wife.
Yeah. Man advocate Mike.
Yeah. Hey, Mike was saying some stuff.
You know what else I like that Killer Mike get? No, I can't say get away. I apologize. Not saying get away. But your Instagram, like I said, you be having some breezies on there, man.
Yeah.
He had something on the other day, short hair and a little thick red bone thing. I'm like, oh, okay, Killer Mike.
I saw. I was very you're active.
You're active.
Well, I'm not actively out in the market,
Okay. Well, I'm active, but
you can look.
You can look.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't go blind because you're married.
Yeah.
All right, so you kind of like you can go window shopping, but long as you don't test drive a car, you good.
If there's a car worth test driving, I'm at least ask.
He's dead.
Yeah, man.
It is I tell my wife too. Just as I want to drive a Porsche, don't mean you ain't a Ferrari. Like I own a Ferrari. I love a Ferrari, but that don't mean I don't want to get in an Audi. So I just think it's honest to be honest. I told my wife, say, look, whether I can or can't, it feels good as a man to be able to express myself. I don't like repression breeds rebellion. So the more you repress one another, somebody's going to rebel.
Yeah.
So it's as I go to my therapist, like Charlamagne that got everybody in the therapy, shouts out to my brother.
Yeah.
Charlamagne was, it just feels good that I can express myself, to my wife. So for me, it's not about convincing my wife or anything, but it is about expressing my honest feelings. I am capable of being attracted to more people, more women than my wife, and my wife knows and understands that. And I hope it adds value to the fact that I'm married to her, because I didn't choose to marry nobody else. I married you. You know what I mean? And as much as I like chocolate cake, as much as I like vanilla cake, as much as I like red velvet cake, I married carrot cake,
Yeah.
You should have been a lawyer. You should have been a lawyer.
My grandmother used to.
Yeah, no, you should have been a lawyer. It's not too late. If you're not going to run 2030, you need to just be a lawyer.
Very convincing.
No, because I'm hearing it, and I know there's some women in the comments. Shout out to our producer Sarah. She's talking shit right now, but it sounds right.
No, it sounds logical.
It sounds logical.
It sounds doable.
I got to use that
God did put it in the Bible. If for y'all, for Christians out there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we probably need a double date. We need to probably go out with him and his wife and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She don't let me talk. I got banned from talking in front of husbands. I mean, we got a beautiful set of friends out in Florida, and I remember they got, how you get sitting out to the garage, the women are talking, and I was just out there talking, and they were talking about going to the strip club or something. I was like, let's do it. Why aren't we doing it? Oh, man, my wife and I was
like,
like,
what?
what? Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, what? I was like, man, what are you talking about? I was like, you got to, hey, man, after I left there feeling like, man, I done convinced some brothers, man, to take that. My wife got a call the next day. She said, Shayna, this Peach said, yeah, I said, we love Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, saying but we know him. We know, bro. We know her. But say, the other wives ask, can he not talk to their husbands? Yeah. And then once I got fired up. I got banned from talking to husbands. So now I just have to be quiet.
But I think me and my girl can go to the strip club and she ain't tripping on nothing. Like, that's one thing I do.
My girl get free dances. That's my thing. The strippers like her more than me.
Yeah, that's cool. Bring it over here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, let's talk about your swag shop.
Yeah, man. Very proud.
We own a barbershop that
we're growing a barbershop chain.
What's the acronym?
Swag shop. So we have the shave, wash, and groom shops.
Swag.
Because, when you go to the barbershop, you go in for $15, $20. They get you in and out.
Yeah.
It's like going to a massage parlor, getting a hand job at the end. But there's the whole Swedish treatment. We try to give you the whole experience. We want you to come in, hot towel, lather, shave, massage on shoulders. So when you go to the swag shop at 365 Edgewood, you could go see Paige or Rob the Barber or Howard. Or you go to see them, you're getting service. Like most working class men only have so many outlets to really just rest and kind of reset. And that 30 to 50 minutes you spend in the barber's chair should be equivalent to a spa-like experience. Now, I ain't got to put all type of mask on your face and what I want you to do, though, is experience classic barbering. I want you to experience that in a modern fashion. So our outsides are red like London-style barbershops. Our pole is all red like a London-style barbershop. And once you get inside, we have these beautiful red, glorious red Pibbs chairs. They're very comfortable, no matter your size, no matter how tall you are. Anybody from the shortest guy the Shaq can fit in our chairs. And our service is impeccable. And we also are launching a set of products at the top of the year. The shave, wash, and groom products.
Nice.
So around beard oil, beard balm, hair greases, brushes, and stuff.
I ain't never seen you off your game, so I know you serious about it, man. Your beard line is...
Man, shouts out to Rob the Barber, man.
That's it?
Yeah, Rob the Barber, man. Rob the Barber. He takes care of me, big boy, half the Dungeon family. He came from Philly. Them Philly boys can cut, too.
Listen, man.
Say it again?
Yeah. I know,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I get it.
What happened? He's a Philly.
He said
Philly boys can cut. Shouts out to my man Evan from Morehouse. I met Evan when we were at Morehouse as freshmen. Evan used to come with the tightest. I'm like, man,
that beard be right.
Yeah, Evan be like, man, I went home this weekend.
Shit, get my beard right. I ain't gonna front.
Yeah.
Shout out to Quad Air and everybody. Yeah, Philly's never mind. Anyway.
But I want a national barber chain. I think that the barbershop is one of the last vestiges of just masculinity. And that doesn't mean women aren't welcome and can't come, but that just means, the caliber women come to the barbershop, they some tough broads. They might be beautiful, but they swagged up. They ain't going to take no mess. And I love our female customers, too. But I love the fact that I can go in the swag shop and just be a guy.
Right.
Talk, guy talk.
Have that experience.
Yep. We have one on Roosevelt Highway. We have one on 365 Edgewood Avenue. We have one in the State Farm Arena. So shouts out to
he has one in the State Farm Arena.
Yeah, shouts out to Steve.
So you can go to the
shouts out to Tony Rexler, the owner of the Hawks, who allowed it. I appreciate y'all. Shouts out to Melissa.
So you can get a haircut while you at the
you not only do you get a haircut though, you can see the court from. So you know how those VIP seats, that the corporations give you? We have the exact same view. You don't have to pay to get in, and you don't have to be a VIP. What? You can come in and buy a cap or T-shirt, come and get a cut, or just come in with your beer and watch the game with us.
That's dope.
Wow.
How many other businesses do you have?
Real estate development is something my wife and I are passionate about. She's the person that's the tip of the spear for that, and she is she's doing a solid job, man. I've told this story before, but I wanted to buy a Dodge Demon. She said you wanted to buy apartment buildings, and that's what we're going to do. We ended up doing that. I partnered with Tip on Bankhead Seafood Restaurant. Tip is also in the real estate development, so keep people around you. Tip's been in 143 units right down the street from our Bankhead Seafood location.
Wow.
What's the name of this restaurant?
The Bankhead Seafood.
I gotta go.
It was a 50-year-old restaurant on Bankhead. Lady's name is Helen Harden, owned. And it was the oldest restaurant on Bankhead. And when she sold it, we bought the building, bought the soil under it, and bought her recipes and stuff. And we rolled out a food truck as a form of promo. Shouts out to Chaka, a female who's been leading the way on that. And now we're about to break ground and start building the building.
Wow. I'm a sucker for shrimp and grits and sweet tea.
It's at 1651 Donald Lee.
Yeah. They renamed that part of Bankhead after Black man. It's not far at all, yeah.
All right. So we talked. Let's talk to Killer Mike, the rapper, the artist.
Yeah.
Can I
You
want to say
before
this?
I move in?
Yeah, because I saw the TV show and Big Boys on the TV show, and there was a lot that we learned. I'm gonna say it from an East Coast guy. When I saw Killer Mike, the introduction, I was like, "Is Outkast breaking up?" That's what I thought. I was like, "Is Outkast breaking up?" Because I see this Killer Mike guy. I like him, but Dre's not here, and Killer Mike is here. I know.
It's like Dice Rob and Malik B.
Yeah.
That one like that.
Yes. So break that down. How you got connected? I know it was it Big Boy's brother that connected you guys?
Yeah, James. And for you guys who hadn't saw us on Love and Respect too, I tell the same story. But I was just Big Boy's, little brother's punk ass homeboy, man.
Crazy.
Hanging out,
and us rapping. And CeeLo Reddick, who was half of the Beat Bullies, not CeeLo Green from Goody Mob,
Another
but
CeeLo.
in CeeLo, Reddick, whose brother's Dr. Bonzo Reddick. But CeeLo formed a production collaboration called the Beat Bullies, him and my man Nicky Reefer, who Nicky's from Cambridge, was from Boston. And we was all just a crew, man. Rest in peace, my man Faz Black, Frank, Rock D, Mr. Kryptonite, the person who actually brought Kryptonite, which was a song that blew Herb out of the waters. Yeah. We were all, man, just homies and just trying to become rappers. The Dungeon family had showed everybody you can do it. And Big James would take the Slumlords, which was me and my man Zach from Adamsville. He'd take the CD that we had and just he asked him, Big, you listen to this? Have you listened to this yet?
Yeah.
And as Big heard it, he was like, man, that guy's hard. And then he heard me freestyling one day. He was like, man, I'm gonna give you a record deal. And I was like, man, thank you, but I ain't gonna hold my breath.
Yeah.
He popped up just right under 2 years later. But the only thing I regret is I would have been graduating college the same year. So I should have stayed my ass in school. And
you gonna get the Morehouse doctorate, though.
Yeah, I need that. I need to be Dr. Michael Renter.
Yes.
But
let me tell you something. I'm so LA. I didn't realize Morehouse. What's all the HBCUs? That's right.
It's Morehouse, Morris Brown, Spelman, and the Clark Atlanta University.
I didn't realize it was all on the damn same.
Yeah, they're there together. In theory, I would love to see one day us really just pull a power move and become one big, huge, deep Division I school.
Wow.
Have the most dominant athletics and academics in the world, and but we'll
But
see.
I didn't realize on that they're all on this. We had to do something with Busta Rhymes and he performed. But I'm like,
It's right there.
it's all on the
together
same.
within walking distance.
Yeah.
I took classes at Spelman, Morris Brown, and Clark.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
you gotta take classes at Spelman. You go to Morehouse, so it's gonna be dude fest all day. I think I took like some shit like drumming. Like African drumming
Just to
class.
get
So
out
I was
there.
just like, man, I gotta see some girls. This shit is goddamn.
Yeah.
First year you can't get off campus.
Do you remember bumping into anybody else that came out of that that school year? You were there, like you were like, oh yeah, I know you. I used to see you on the campus because I see a lot of network.
Dead President's DJ Mike. He was there. I was there. Like I say, the Beat Bullies were there. I'm just trying to think. Clark Atlanta is probably the best networked college.
I always hear that.
Because at Clark, everybody's behind the scenes. Like if you go to BET, you go to Revolt TV, you go to MTV, you look at Pinky's Growing Slutty Vegan. Clark graduate, New Face, Clark graduate. Like Clark is probably one of the most well connected. If you go to Morehouse, you're gonna be like doctors and lawyers and preachers.
Right.
So I enjoyed the experience, and I encourage more black parents to send their kids to HBCUs, especially black parents who don't have the advantage of growing up, or their kids don't have the advantage of growing up like I grew up. I grew up in an all-black enclave, so I grew up competent and confident. But like my friend Jim, who was from, I think Jim was from Seattle. His mom was white, his dad was black, his dad wasn't around. So Jim just he was a Colin Kaepernick-like experience. He didn't get around us till freshman year of college. And he was like, oh, shit, I found the promised land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, send your kids to black schools. I'd say even in areas that they don't have black colleges or black public schools or that are predominantly black, I think, blacks should start their own Montessori schools because it's terribly difficult to be black, brilliant, and constantly be told you shouldn't be as confident as you are. It's a crime that our children are competent and can do it, but their confidence gets destroyed. When you listen to Dr. John Henrik Clarke, go on YouTube and listen to Dr. John Henrik Clarke, people. He not only talks about the history of who we've been and how great we were and how great we are, he talks about confidence. We are really just a race of people that have been robbed of confidence. We have all the competence to do it. We have the skills, we have the know-how, we have the brain power, we have the man and woman power. What we don't have, unfortunately, is the confidence.
Got it.
And that's what a lot of HBCUs give you. They give you, if you've not grown up with that, they give you that confidence to know you don't have to ask people permissions or ask people if you're good enough. You just walk in the room knowing your shit and know you are.
Shout out to my niece. She went to all like white high school, elementary school, and then she was like, "Yo, I want to go to Hampton." And she's
out to Hampton.
Yeah, she's at Hampton University right now.
Shouts out to my partners that went to Hampton. Shouts out to Envy. You
see a difference in
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
You have to.
like when
Hampton got the girls too. They got pretty girls in Hampton. I'm gonna give y'all the HBCU experience. Like, it's like, boy, you start talking Hampton, you gonna find your wife up there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
you're outnumbered as a
Is
guy.
that right?
Yeah, Hampton is crazy though.
Young black men, you need to go. When we drove, I was like, man,
Crazy.
this felt like Hillman.
Crazy though.
I mean, I'm a little older, but I was like, I was like, man, where's the guys?
Yeah. People sleep though, man. North Carolina A&T, South Carolina State. You know what I mean? You got Bethune-Cookman. You got a lot of Tuskegee got the most lit. Tuskegee and FAM got two of the most lit homecomings ever. My grandmother wanted me to go to Tuskegee, but my family's from there, so we got sent to a farm in the summer. And I'm just like, I can't do that. I can't.
That's not you're not.
I was like, Mama, I'm sorry.
You're a country boy, but not that country.
It ain't enough to do.
You like the city life.
So we got this coming up. You got a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah,
of your
of
first
rap
album.
music.
All right,
Well,
so
not the first album,
rap.
but rap music was
The last.
It was the last solo record.
So what we gonna do if we
Because he went solo. He was solo, but then Run the Jewels was a run.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Still a run.
Still a run. Yeah, we're
Still a
working
run.
on. We're gonna Run the Jewels 5 should come accompanied with the movie.
With the
The movie.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, like talk.
What we doing?
You gonna have a busy couple months.
what we
Yeah,
doing?
so I mean, man, who doesn't like the Blues Brothers and who doesn't like the Fat Boys Delirious?
Ah.
Somebody should put those two. Cause somebody should take. Well, what was the Run DMC? What was the Run DMC movie? What was the one? What was Crush Groove?
Yeah.
Delirious and the Blues Brothers as a big movie, and the soundtrack is Run the Jewels 5.
What?
So y'all gonna
You gonna see me and Elle in the movie?
Who's directing?
We gonna see. We gonna let you know. We're writing it right now.
Okay.
shout out to you and LP's relationship? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, did it start like from Cartoon Network?
Yeah, so
or-
Cartoon Network comes to me. Jason DeMarco, who's a vice president over at Cartoon Network. Jason is a vice president who drove a Monte Carlo SS. Right,
Oh, he with it.
Like he Atlanta as hell, white guy, but just man, he's so cool, man. He's one of the best human beings I've ever met. Shouts out to Jason, who's forever my friend. Jason was like, I was with Grand Hustle, thanks to Tip and Jason and Hannah and Clay and all those over there. They were like, yo, you deserve your own platform. So Tip allowed me to put out music through the Grand Hustle imprint. Everybody embraced me over there and really helped me not give up on myself. Jason comes in one day, has a meeting with Tip them about something, and then he comes and says, yo, I want you to do a solo record, and I just got one thing, because I was going under Mike Bigger at the time, just trying to, because Columbia Records had made me skittish because they were afraid to push Killer Mike. Therefore, Killer Mike never got pushed, with other stuff, with the auxiliary stuff. Well, you got an album, you sold 500,000, but we can't marry you with video games and products and stuff. And Jason was like, just be you. You just be Killer Mike.
Yeah.
He said, that's all you got to do. He said, I want you to make your version of America's Most Wanted and be Killer Mike.
Wow.
And we're going to give you the budget. Me and Elle went in first. We were supposed to go in with like 3 different producers just to kind of make it, 3 tracks to make it like 10 records. But me and Elle went in, and for the first 3 hours we worked, came up with 3 records. And I could remember walking out the room at Patchwork calling Jason like, hey, man, this white boy amazing.
He's from New York or something, right?
Elle is from New York. He's a Brooklyn guy. And I'm like, yo, he Definitive Jux. Def Jux was his label.
Right.
And Company Flow was his group. I'm like, yo, Elle, he has to do this. Elle had just given up Def Jux. He had just given up at saving the whole boat and had just got into, I'm going to take care of LP, pull out another solo record. So he was working on Cancer.
He's a fan of LP probably.
Yeah. But I knew I liked the sound, but I knew him in the peripheral. Like he knew me in the peripheral.
Right.
But when we got in the room together, I instantly recognized this is magic. Like magic.
It's a different
like
sound
Magic
for you
City.
too.
Like it was it. It was like this is what I've been trying to do in the beats I've been waiting on. I called Jason. I want to say, hey man, he got to do the whole album. Jason said, y'all finish it up, the music. Y'all finish up. He says it's about to be 3. He's going to do 3 records. And he said, I'm going to go find the money to get him to do the rest of the record. I called Elle every day for 30 days, aggravating the shit out of him. Like, you got to do this record.
Really?
And a year later, we had rap music. And rap music dropped within a week of Cancer for Cure. Elle and I toured together. I had a record on his record. He had a record on my record, which we featured. We would come out on each other's set. and do it. And when we got back home, L owed a mixtape to Fat Possum Records. He was like, man, these folks done paid me, boy, I got to do this tape. He said, it take me 4-5 years to write an album. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, shit, we finna do it. He's like,
so you helped him out.
Yeah,
basically.
I was like, yeah, we helped one another because I found a sound in him. I wrote a lot faster. L to me is the best rapper producer in the world because I actually see him make his own beats and write his own raps. But I'm like, man, you worry about the production part, and I'm going to worry about getting on there, snapping, and then me and you will go back and forth, and we'll make it work. I went up, and we recorded the first Run the Jewels in 2 weeks in New York. And we went back out on tour. Now, when we went back out on tour, it was Killer Mike, LP, and then Run the Jewels. So we were opening for ourselves.
That's dope.
We had Despot out there with us and Mr. Motherfucking Esquire, right? We come out, I come out as Killer Mike, boom. Killer Mike crowd, yes. LP come out, oh man, LP crowd, Def Jam crowd, yeah. But then there'll be this section of kids that had X's on their hands. So I knew they were kids because they couldn't drink because they had the X's on their hands. Yeah. They just sit there like, yeah, old guy rap. Yeah, I like that. Okay, yeah, I remember Never Scared. Okay, yeah, hey. You know, and we come back out together. Sometimes still sweaty with the same T-shirts on. And these kids would lose their fucking minds.
Because y'all together.
To Run the Jewels. And I'm like, oh, shit.
They didn't even know.
This is something. Like, this is a real something. And we went from playing 300 to 500 people rooms to 700 to 800 people rooms to 1,500 people rooms to getting calls from promoters that we've had to move to 1,500 people rooms now to 3,000 to 5,000 people. And we're doing that first show we booked in Chicago has now become a 4-day run. And every night is sold out. And that's what I'm like, oh shit, Run the Jewels. When we got, I can remember getting back, and somebody who's thankfully not with my team anymore said, so we're gonna work on another solo album.
Like how you said.
Yeah, did you say he was thankfully they're not with the team?
Yeah, they said, are we gonna you gonna work on another solo record? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Hell
I'm in a group.
I got this thing
I'm
going.
in a group. And I told L to be a group, we got to do what Led Zeppelin did, EPMD, Outkast. We got to have 4 classic records before we are considered a group. So with Run the Jewels 4, we just officially, in my mind, we are cemented as a group.
Wait, who come up with the name? Or it's 2 things.
L came up with Run the Jewels from the cheesy rap blues when Cool J says put your hands in the sky something keep it there, Run the Jewels or something like. Yeah, but it's a reference to it's an old LL lyric. And,
okay,
and of course, RZA said "Run the Jewels" in the record back in the days, but you know what it is. Somebody walk up to you on track, run it. Yeah, like you in Atlanta to New York, you knew what "run it" mean. You know.
Then how did the whole hand like?
L sent me that picture, and I fronted on him. I was like, "I'll let you know what I think in the morning." I hung up the phone like, "Oh my God, this shit's amazing."
That's dope. Like, everybody come up and do it to you.
It was like the Rolling Stones' tongue. It was like it was like the Outkast reversion of the Cadillac logo. It was perfect. I hit him at the next morning. He was like, you took all this. I was like, this shit hard as fuck. And then,
I love it.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I've seen this thrown up. Doctors after surgery, lawyers after they win cases, people once they climb mountains, skydivers. That symbol has come to mean more than just a raw ass rap group. It really is a sign of overcoming fear, of conquering something.
What year was that in your career? Like what year was?
So my career starts in 2002.
Okay.
Rap music comes out in 2012. Run the Jewels is 2013.
Then y'all do this festivals and touring.
Yeah, when we're marching, we're still marching. You know.
So I know where we were going with this, but the pandemic slowed Run the Jewels touring.
Y'all about to go on the big tour.
Yeah, well, we're set to open up. Rage Against the Machine is reuniting, and they called us. Now the last time Rage Against the Machine went out, Wu-Tang Clan was their opening act. Wow. So just to give you. In terms of credibility, in context, what it meant to me. So for Zach and Tom and the guys to ask us to open on a reuniting tour was just amazing.
It's huge.
Yeah. So
y'all share the same audience.
Yeah. Like we just opened the Shaky Knees. Well, we just closed. We were the closers at the Shaky Knees Festival, which is a rock festival in Atlanta. So you only got one music fest on the rap and R&B side, and then you have Shaky Knees on the rock side. Shouts out to Sweets who puts it together. But he had us headline, and we were opposite Alice Cooper. It's like Alice Cooper's fucking hero. I was like, oh shit, we're headlining. So we get involved. We were on Revolver magazine, which is like the rock version of what The Source once was. So we are a rap group, and it feels like a lot of times masquerading as a rock band, and we don't do cheesy rock sounding. We don't try to imitate rock acts. We just do highly energetic, balls to the walls, kick ass rap music. And a lot of rock fans tend to like that. So yeah, we got a crazy
modern day Public Enemy feeling.
Exactly. Cypress Hill got accepted that same way.
Yep,
you know what I mean? So we're fortunate in that. So we do a lot of touring. We did 123 days. So I toured myself in the dehydration and exhaustion until the hospital 3 times in a year.
You gotta drink that water, bro.
Well, no. Definitely got to get the water. But more than the water, you got to get that Pedialyte when you get off stage.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Because, the water's great, but if you ain't getting the nutrients in it, so now, like I used to wonder why rock and roll folks, like how does Keith Richards do all those drugs, still drink green juice? But that's why you drink the green juice.
Yeah.
So I saw the Stones the other night, 78 years old, still killing
Inspired?
it. Hell yeah, I want to be 78 years old, still doing it. So
I saw when Ozark, had their final scene and played the ooh. I was like, I was tripping because I'm like, I knew the song. I'm like, this is crazy.
We got a lot of syncs. We do a lot of touring. We open for Rage next March. We're going to open for them on their world tour. We're going to do a lot of festivals, and I plan on marching in 2023 and 2024. Headlining our own.
So it's 2030. He's going.
That boy said 2030.
I get it.
So Killer Mike, 10 years since the rap music, right?
Yes.
So where's Killer Mike at with his? You've been teasing a couple of things, right? So
man, the pandemic gave me some time to just play around in the studio, and without committing to saying something's gonna happen, I would bet on something happening.
If something happens, can we do a part 2 of this?
Absolutely. If something happens to it, it's gonna be a classic. I ain't gonna come back after 10 years and give y'all no flaw.
All right.
you ain't gonna do no boo-boo. You ain't gonna
Nah. I would expect if something happened, I'd expect like somebody like No ID to be involved.
Ooh,
That's our guy, man.
Okay.
Listen, I
like
speak to
Deion.
Deion a lot, man.
Beats by Deion.
Yeah, beats by
All
right. He's in one.
You gotta go big.
Yoda, we call
You call him Yoda. Everybody does.
Yoda. Yeah, that's Yoda. That's my guy.
Yep.
Shout out to Deion, man.
Man,
All right, well, we gonna take you up on that.
This is a to be continued.
This is definitely to be continued.
Man,
And if you got the new Madden, you've heard a solo record from me called Yes, that plays on the new Madden. Shouts out to my man DJ Menace, who put me on Look Back at It with Trina. So,
Wow.
So he just took me from Look Back at It with Trina to Yes, which is a gospel inspired record, which is totally crazy. So
Listen,
shouts
man,
out to Menace.
I want to go to Peaches and Blue Flame. Me and my lady go out with you and your
Let's
lady.
do it.
Please.
Yeah, let us know. Me and Shan take
Ricky, he said something about Peaches. I ain't know nothing about. You ain't tell me about Peaches, babe.
yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah,
like
Peaches ain't even 10 minutes from Magic City.
All right, man.
You just gotta go with the right folks on the right day.
All right, well, I'm gonna lean on you for that.
I got
fool.
you. That's
Trust
easy.
me. All right,
Hey.
easy call.
This has been Michael Render.
Michael,
For love and respect on the FAQ podcast. Plus, you got to see, I'm talking about the joint go down. I'm like, look at this Ed Bradley motherfucker.
Oh, man, what's crazy is there's 3 cameras. And so the camera you're talking about is named for my mother. It's Denise.
Okay.
The one that pans from up because my mother is in heaven, of course.
Yeah.
The camera that my camera that I directly look at is named for my grandmother, Betty.
Okay.
She's always watching me. And the camera that the guests look at is named after my former art teacher, who is now a farmer and food advocate, Mr. Bill Murray, who co-owner of Murray Brothers Funeral Home. And that way they get to talk to one of the most eccentric men I've known.
Got it.
I got a chance to take Mr. Murray to see Bill Maher last week. There we hit the Blue Flame, saw some of his former students.
hey, did you know who did they take who passed away? Stopped that Blue Flame. They,
Call up, shout it low.
Shorty Low.
Shit, without that, they gonna do the same thing to me.
Shorty Low. They pull that hearse up right there at the strip club, man.
Yeah, man, as you should.
Yeah, man. All right.
But again, the significance of the Blue Flame is not that just it's a strip club. Google the historic Collier, the Collier Heights community. It's in a community that was totally owned and founded by and for Black people. So, when people hear me, shout out these spots, it's more than just we have fun and adventure. This is the social scene of Atlanta. This is the political organizing scene of Atlanta. This is where the regular common man and woman are. So as Black people in whatever space you are, protect that space.
Got it.
We should have never lost Harlem. You understand what I'm saying? We should not be losing Inglewood. And the only thing that protects us from that is you protecting your individual financial literacy, you making sure those around you are financially literate and you guys are landowners and not just renters but buyers, us turning the Black dollar, using anything from Greenwood to traditional Black banks. But we have to become solid in our dealings with one another. And if that happens, I don't want to be the exception in being from Collier Heights. I want a Collier Heights in every city in the South. I want one in Birmingham, Jacksonville, Tampa, Charlotte. I think we can, we must, we will.
Man,
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike. Let's get over Killer Mike.
Killer Mike,
Hey,
yo.
man, love.
FAQ podcast. We appreciate you, brother.
Fuzz and Quincy, I appreciate y'all, man.
Thank
Man,
you, bro.
Thank you, man. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube page.
Yeah.
We'll have more conversation with Killer Mike.
This
on
is part
two.
one.
This is part one.
Yeah.
Part 1.
Part 2 is coming though.
Love and respect.
Thank you, Killer Mike, man.
Love.
Love and
Love.
respect.